the project. Thank you for starting the recording. On behalf of Nolan Mulger and Michael Doherty, who are our project manager and project sponsors for this project, I want to express how much we appreciate you taking this time to attend. As you may know, the ADS, what we call, that's our short name for the Commission's Activity and Discovery System, is the replacement for our e-dockets and huddle. ADS has what's called a CRM for our internal users. That would be Commission staff, DOJ, the Filing Center, and a portal for all of you, our external users. Today and tomorrow, we'll be working to educate you about the use of the portal and training you on the core functions. So you'll be able to file documents with us and conduct discovery. We've spent the last 5 months or so in internal testing for this product, and we're working with our vendor to build the system many months before that. We have now moved into the important pilot phase, where we will test the functionality of the system in the production environment and review your experiences. We've chosen 2 dockets for the pilot period, and the pilot period will last about 4 weeks, beginning next week. The 2 dockets are UE 399 and UE 406, and this new system will be your means of participating in these proceedings. All other docket activity takes place just in our existing systems. Today's training will cover the following items: an overview of the pilot, the portal, which is the public-facing side of our new system, portal roles review, and training on portal usage. Today's training is currently scheduled to conclude no later than 4 p.m. It'll be recorded and posted online, so if you can only make a part of this, the recording will be available to you. Tomorrow, we will continue training at 8:30 a.m. covering how to set up your company or organization admin and how the company or organization admin will process all your access requests to the system. We very much appreciate your support and participation. Our team from across the agency has worked very intensely on this project over the last 1.5 years, in addition to our regular responsibilities. We hope that this new system will improve your user experience with the PUC. As you participate in this training and pilot, we strongly encourage questions. And importantly, it is crucial to us that you communicate clearly when things are not working well. The goal of the pilot, after all, is to ensure that the elements of the system you'll be using are working properly. So it is very important that you help us understand what elements of the system are working, where it is struggling, so we can identify and fix the appropriate things. Again, thank you so much for giving us your time today and tomorrow to help with this project and through the pilot. We really appreciate it.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name's Chang. I will be leading us through the training with share screen and a couple PowerPoint presentations, and I'll be just turning off my camera after I do my introduction. I am the IT manager here at the PUC, and I've been involved with this project since the beginning about 5 years ago. So with that, I will start going through a few PowerPoint slides, and then we'll jump into demoing the system. Please let me know, everybody, you can see my screen where it says welcome, thank you for attending. If I can get a thumbs up, or if you can unmute yourself. Perfect, I got a thumb up. So thank you, Diane, for the welcome message. Again, we really appreciate your participation in this pilot. I do encourage everyone to ask questions. If you want to ask question in the chat, I have chat on a screen. I'll be answering as soon as I see your questions, or if you feel like unmuting yourself and just stop me and ask questions, I encourage that as well. We all learn different ways, so ask question is great. Like Diane said, we are recording this training session, and we will be posting on our PUC YouTube channel. Once it's processed and posted, we will definitely send you a link where you can share with your colleagues. Before we start the training, I just want to make sure I got a few terminology updated with this group, just because in the new system, we call things a little different than what we called in the current system. Every time I use the word PUC activity or docket, they are the same thing. Just so, you know, if I say PUC activity, you guys can correlate to dockets. Every time I say listserv, it's the same as service list. Whenever you're on the e-dockets, you see service list. In the new system, it's called listserv. Companies in the current system is referenced as organizations. So, you know, every time you hear me saying organization, it's companies. We will talk about consumer comments, and currently we use the term public comment, and it's very confusing. We actually mean 3 or 4 different things when we say public comment. So every time I say consumer comments, this means these are comments made by the public, made by consumers about PUC activities, about public meetings, or anything in general. These are not the comments that are made by companies to a public meeting. So public meeting action is when a company makes a comment or comment into a public meeting. I hope this will help everyone during this training. And yes, I can definitely share the PowerPoint with everybody as well. And if you're looking for sharing the document right now, I'm not sure how we can do that at this moment. Let me go through a few things, and when we talk about, when we go demo, I'll see if I can share something. Agenda.
Did you want me to post it in the chat for them? I could do
can
that.
We upload the file in chat?
I'm going to see.
All right, thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
So agenda for today, Diane already kind of talked it through. We're really going to do a quick overview, set some expectations. We're going to explain the roles for portal users, and then we're going to talk about confidential information and multi-factor authentication this morning. This afternoon, we're going to cover just the portal overview. And of course, if we finish early with the morning session, maybe we'll just do an overview real quick. For tomorrow morning, we're definitely going to be working with organization administrators and organization users to ensure all the access are set up. And I'll explain a little bit more about what a admin is and what are the organization users are when we talk about portal roles. So to start, the screen you're seeing, the one on the left, is what we're using for today's training and demo purposes. And this is for everyone on the call to log in and play with the system with fake data and look for other data within the system this week. So we are going to be using the sandbox. And what I have highlighted right here is the URL says test in the URL. And on the top of the portal, it says this portal is for testing and training purposes only. So when you see the test and when you see the red label banner on the top, this means you're in a test environment. You can do whatever you want. It's not going to hurt anything. When pilot officially starts on the 22nd, this is where you're going to be working in the production environment, and you will see there is no test in the URL. And the banner will state, this is a pilot portal. Filings will only be accepted for UE 399 and UE 402. So please make sure if you're just playing and testing things out, making sure it works for you, you are using the test environment. And when you are filing for real, you are using the pilot production environment. And I'm gonna give people a second to ask question or make any comment. Perfect. So pilot overview. This week, so today is the 15th, Friday is the 19th. We are going to be doing training this week, the 15th and 16th for portal users. And on the 17th, we're going to be doing training for internal PUC employees. And this week, what we're doing is we're going to set up everyone in the sandbox where everyone can test their logins, registering new users, requesting access, filing for new dockets, existing dockets, testing out discovery, basically just run through all kinds of data you want to test out before we do things for real. Starting the 22nd through September 16th, this is where real data will be used for the pilot. And if you are not sure if you're in the pilot environment or you're in the sandbox environment, we can look at the banner on top of the screens and see, you're in the real place. Starting the 22nd, organization admins and other users will need to re-request their access for the production environment. So this week, today and tomorrow, we're going through the portal side, and tomorrow we're going to make sure all the organization users and admins have their access in the test environment, and you can go in and play with things. But starting Monday, the 22nd, you guys need to re-register for the production to get ready for the real pilot upload files. And then PUC will definitely remove all your test accounts from the test environment just in case anybody still logs into the wrong URL and tries to enter real data into the test environment, and then nothing gets filed. So that's what's going to happen. And I can see in chat right now, Kim stated that if you would like to have a PowerPoint, please let Kim know, and she will send you guys the PowerPoint presentation so you can take notes as I'm talking through it. Diane mentioned earlier this morning, UE 399 and UE 406 are the only dockets we're going to be working with through pilot, and these are the only real data you should be submitting through ADS. If you're not part of any of these two dockets, you probably don't need to take this training and you can drop off. And then of course, this training is mainly for portal users. So if you do not need to learn the external portal side of things, feel to drop off. In the pilot, what we'll be working on is filing. We're going to be testing out or actually using real data to set up events. We're going to look for discovery requests and responses for discovery. So instead of using Huddle, you'll be using ADS. Instead of the e-filing email address, you'll be using a way to upload your files. And then events, obviously, it's going to be for staff settlement conferences or hearings or public meetings. And then public meetings, because public meetings usually include multiple dockets, in the ADS system, we're only going to include the UE 399 and UE 406 docket with a public meeting. Any other agenda items related to the same public meeting will still be on the PUC's public webpage where we have upcoming events. So if you're really wanting to know everything about a public meeting, still go to the PUC public webpage, look at the agenda from the public website. If you're trying to confirm the ADS pilot works and your agenda is showing up on a public meeting, you can go to the ADS side of things and look at the public meetings and make sure the agenda is there and it looks okay. So any question or comment on what we're piloting and the timeline and the dockets that we're dealing with? Perfect. Expectations. So we're really expecting people to work with, again, UE 399 and UE 406. If you're trying to file any other docket using the ADS, the PUC will decline the filing. The standard filing center email is still going to be used for any other docket outside UE 399 and UE 406. So that would be the expectation from the PUC, and hopefully the same expectation from companies. You're not going to file anything outside UE 399 and UE 406. I mentioned earlier, public meetings are still on the public PUC website. The agenda items are still there if you want to see the full picture. If you're only wanting to look at how pilot works, you will see public meetings set up in the pilot. And if we have any public meeting agenda item for UE 399 or UE 406, they will show up for that public meeting. We will be using real data. So this is a full test of companies submitting filing, PUC accepting the filing, everything's posted on the public portal for ADS, and then all the real process is happening on ADS for the two dockets mentioned. We welcome any feedback regarding the training. So if you think training is too general, not specific enough, or we need longer time or shorter time for training, portal user interface. So if you look at the interface and you say, it's so confusing, I don't know what to click on, or it's too simple, I need more information, or usability or any other general feedback, we want to hear from you. Only by hearing from you, we can improve the experience, the user experience for everyone working with the PUC. And we would prefer prompt communication from your company and your users, as in, you know, hey, I just filed and I do not see my filing on the portal. Is there something wrong? And then PUC will go in and look at it and see what's going on. And it's either a system issue or maybe it's how you filed. So we want to make sure communication is prompt and accurate, and we want to make sure we fix any issue during the pilot before we go live. And of course, expect delays if there are bugs or issues coming in within the ADS pilot program. And one example I'm just going to put out there is, you know, if the whole system is down and it's not allowing companies to file, and the PUC is not receiving filings, and there's a deadline for a filing, we most likely will discontinue the pilot, go back to the email process, or we find an alternative so that you can file on time. And then we may reschedule the pilot once we fix everything. But at this moment, we understand the pilot system is working, filing will go through, everything will be posted. So if you see anything, any issue with the system, do let us know right away. But again, expect delays. All right, so this is all the expectation and a quick overview of the pilot. Any questions or comments? All right. So the portal roles overview. Within the portal, there are a few different roles that we have set up, and they're very specific roles for different users. So the first thing is public. Public means just anyone going to the PUC website and they're looking at the portal. And when they are trying to look for a specific docket or a specific public meeting, or wanting to look at all the initial filings of that was filed with the PUC, anyone in the world can do this without creating an account. They can just open up the web page without logging in and just starting searching, and they will see everything. So that's the public role. Registered public, this is where a public stakeholder comes in, looks at the PUC webpage and find an interesting docket. And they want to actually get notified when there's an update to the docket. And this could be for a docket, for any order that the PUC is issuing, or for any public meeting updates that the PUC is issuing on our webpage. So people can register with their email address with the PUC, and they can then subscribe to different email groups. Maybe the email group is called PUC Activities. So anytime any PUC activity is updated, they will get a notification. They may register for UE 399, and every time there's an update to UE 399, they will receive an email of that notification. So these two are really for the general public. It's not meant for companies. The next four roles are more meant for companies. So company admin is a role for an administrator at the company who will assign filing or discovery or subscriber roles for their own company. So let's say, for instance, I work for PGE and I am the admin for PGE. I can then assign a filer role for my colleague Candace, and she will be the filer for PGE. Me being the admin, I do not have a filer role. I only can approve or remove access for my coworkers. So Candace can have a role for filer. I can find Diane for my company, and I can add Diane as a discoverer for my company. So Candace can only do filing. So she can upload initial applications, she can upload testimonies, but she cannot deal with discoveries. Diane, on the other hand, will be able to request information from the PUC or other companies, or she can respond to data discovery requests that other companies or the OPUC is making. So these are the two different roles for filer and discoverer. As an admin, because I manage all the roles, I could make myself a filer and a discoverer as well, so then I can work on filing or work on discoveries. But then that's going to be up to your company to decide, do you want admins to file, or do you want admins to only manage access roles? And then the last item really is company subscriber. What this means is this company subscriber doesn't do filing, does not do discovery. All they're doing is they have an account, they're associated with your company, and they can see all the filings your company has submitted and all the open dockets that your company is working on. So that's what a company subscribers will see. And I do see a couple comment in chat. Let me read this through real quick. Is there an email we should use to report any issue we encounter? That is a great question. How about we will either find a good email address, or we will locate either my email address or maybe Diane's email address, and we'll use those addresses as a reporting process. So after this training, we will send out a follow-up email with the email addresses for reporting any issues. Does company just refer to utilities or other stakeholder groups that want to participate and submit comments? So yes. In the new system, we do not call it company, we call it organization. So organization in general will be utility companies and maybe interveners or parties who are interested in participating in a docket. So in my documentation here, if you replace company with organization, so these will be the organization that includes all the companies, interveners, parties, interested parties, or whoever else participating in our dockets. I hope that's clear in answering that question. Perfect. Any other questions or comments as we go through the portal roles? All right. I'm sure everyone's concerned about confidential information. So here's what we'll be doing with this new system. Our goal is to have a way for companies to upload non-confidential information to the PUC for any docket. Confidential and highly confidential can also be uploaded and treated with different security parameters or permissions to allow companies to upload the files, but also allow participants of a docket to access confidential and highly confidential information within the same system. So the way we will grant confidential and highly confidential access is through the process of petition to intervene and signatory page. So once we identify a docket that will contain confidential information, most likely through a protective order or a motion to move information to confidential information, the docket into confidential, any participating company, organization will need to submit a petition to intervene. Now for interveners, it's not petition, but a notice to intervene. So that will be the difference. Once the petition to intervene goes through the process and approved by the PUC, the company or organization will need to submit a signatory page. And this signatory page is very similar to how you're submitting signatory page today, but instead of mailing a physical copy or emailing a PDF file, you actually go online, go through the process, and upload all the documentation through an action called signatory page. And once the signature page is submitted and accepted by the PUC power users will go into the backend and link accounts that's on the signature page to a multi-factor authentication process, but also granting that confidential access for that user to that particular docket. So what happens is if I am trying to participate or intervene on UE 399, and I go through the petition to intervene, got the approval, I submit a signature page, then Diane and her group, the power users on the back end, will look at my account and say, okay, now Ching has been granted access to confidential information to UE 399. And once that happens, when I log into the portal, I need to multi-factor authenticate my account before I can log in and actually see anything that I have access to. The same process goes to highly confidential. So when I request this access through signatory page, I get a choice to pick confidential or non-confidential. And usually in the process is I have to get confidential access through a signatory page process, and then I request for highly confidential for highly confidential access. So I actually have to request two different types of access before I can actually see highly confidential. I hope that makes sense. So this is just a process on requesting access to confidential information. All right, so again, if I'm a general public, I'm not registered with anybody, I will not have access to any confidential information. Now, if I participate in a docket by filing a petition to intervene, then I can go through the signature page and get access to confidential information. I see Jennifer has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a question on the confidentiality piece. So for PacifiCorp, we have a number of different employees that, like currently you have your service list, which has 3 main individuals on it. And then we might have many individuals who might need to have access to confidential or highly confidential information in order to be able to respond to data requests or prepare some of the filings that are required in a docket. Would we need to have each one of those individuals sign on and fill out the signatory page, or would that be at a company level overarching and we just add names to that? I wasn't quite sure how that would work, because they might not actually be following it, like the docket itself, but they're contributors to the docket and the filings.
So I'll attempt to answer it through the technical side, and maybe Diane or someone from the HD side can help me with the business process. So in our design for the system, confidential access is per user per docket. So we don't have a blanketed confidential access for everyone within PGE. So it has to be a user part of PGE participating in this docket. So, and we no longer have that limit of 3 person per service list, right? So anyone from PGE can register for that service list, or the company or organization administrator can actually add multiple people to the service list of a particular docket. Once they're on the service list and PGE submits a signatory page to allow, 3 people or 20 people out of the PGE employees who are already on the service list, then PUC can grant that confidential access for PGE for those 20 people. One thing that I need to clarify is if PGE initiated the docket, right? So if PGE filed a rate case and they're really the initiator of the docket, then anyone within PGE can see the confidential information as long as they have the portal role. So filers with the filer role can see all the confidential information for that docket without having to go through the signature page and petition to intervene process, because you initiated, you have access to the confidential information by default. And same thing with discoverers. Discoverers will have access to all the confidential discovery requests and responses because PGE is initiating organization for this docket. So I hope that helps in your question.
That does. Thank you.
Okay. Diane, do you have anything to add?
I don't, excuse me, I don't. Yeah, I think you did a great job of describing the business process.
Perfect. All right. So the last item I do want to mention, and when William demo, we'll definitely talk about it. And before I jump into MFA, Matt, you have your hand up.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sorry, this is Matt McVie from Pacific Corp. I have another question just before we move off the confidential information, and it relates more to highly confidential. Occasionally, to date, modified protective orders have included provisions where if there was some individual that where there's a competitive risk of an individual having access to information, there's an opportunity for the utility to object to that individual getting access to highly confidential information. It's rarely used, but does the process contemplated address an opportunity for the utility to file an objection, or whoever's providing the confidential information to file an objection regarding access before access is granted to highly confidential information?
I'm happy to answer that one. Yes.
Okay, great.
We talked quite a bit about that when building our processes. So some of the burden lies on the organization admins, but ultimately the filing center folks, we are power users, and we will be monitoring that and making sure that appropriate access is granted. And so this kind of relates back also to Jennifer's question about, does everybody need to sign a signatory page if it's not the company initiating the docket in a contested case? Then that answer is yes, because how else will we know?
All right, thank you.
And just to elaborate on what Diane said, if we look on my screen, you know, with petition to intervene, we do have ruling on the PUC side we have to go through. And within ruling, there's an objection period. So that during that period, companies can object to, you know, petition to intervene. And then within signatory page, we also built in objection periods, and there are notifications going out to everyone on the service list. So if someone is requesting access to highly confidential information by submitting a signatory page, service list, anyone on the service list will receive that notification. There is a signature page coming in, and they're requesting highly confidential access to this docket. And there's an objection period where companies can file that objection with the PUC after the signature page has been filed. And obviously the power users or HD support will go through our process and make sure we review the objections or review any special instruction on the modified protective order to ensure, you know, the highly confidential information is not just blindly shared just because someone submitted a signature page. So we do have built in within the system objection timeframes and also how the PUC will approve or grant these kind of access. All right, I see Marie have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So I had one clarifying question on something you said a little bit ago, that if the company that is the initiator of the docket, that everyone at that company will have access to the confidential information by default. Is that what I heard correct?
So the short answer is yes. The long answer is, although they will have access to the confidential information, but we still look at the portal roles. So if they're a filer, then they will only see all the filings with confidential information for that docket. If they're discoverer only, they can only see discovery requests. They are not going to see all the confidential filing information.
Okay, so then it's just people who are with that company but on the service list for that docket, or is it everyone who's like registered for the system in those roles?
Can I take a stab at this?
Yes, please.
So Marie, you're kind of narrowing it down. Yes, there are registered users, and the organization admin will control access for the organization. The filing center folks have override power on that. So if there's a need for some people to not have access, we can facilitate that. But for the initiating organization in a contested case, it would be the organization admin who's looking at what roles are granted to particular employees of that organization.
Okay, yeah, because it's just my understanding that there's definitely some dockets where not everybody at the organization should have access to the confidential information, because, for example, like if PGE is going to have an affiliated company, they have to make sure that there's, you know, some separation between what information certain employees are having access to.
Right, and it's up to the organization admins to manage. And it depends on who the registered users are, because every user has to be registered.
Okay, thanks.
And I just want to add, you know, for any PUC activity / docket, there's that service list. So the service list also controls who can see things. So let's say we all work for PGE, but organization admin for PGE only added Diane to UE 399. Although I'm also part of PGE, I will not see all the confidential information because I'm not part of the service list. But Diane can. So service list is another control for this.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. All right, and please, if whatever I'm explaining now does not make sense, and when we are doing the demo in the system and you want to see it in action, we can definitely do that as well. Just so you know, seeing is believing, right? So we can definitely test it out, and Diane and I can definitely go back to our contractor and go through the process on the back end, make sure everything works the way we are sharing today, and then we can confirm that with an email later on. All right, next section is really, you know, after we grant confidential access for employees for the organization, how do they log in now, right? So multi-factor authentication is, I guess, the best way to ensure the person logging into the system is who they say they are. And then they can have access to the confidential, highly confidential information. We don't just want to rely on a password and an email address anymore. We actually want something that the person owns. So the way we have set up multi-factor authentication is by email. And what happens with that, and during the demo with the overview of the system, I will actually show you how I can log in to my account, and then what that multi-factor authentication looks like is I log in with my username and password. The system sees me as a person who has access to confidential information. Doesn't matter if I have access to just one docket or I have multiple dockets I can access confidential information of. As long as I have access to one confidential information in the ADS, I will be asked for MFA. And the way MFA works is I log in with my username and password. The system sees me of having confidential access. It's going to email me a code, and it's a randomly generated code, and this is all Microsoft Azure. So that code is emailed to my email address that I registered with my account. And I just go open up that email. That email will have a 6-digit code. I copy and paste into the portal in the field. And once I have that code in, I hit the button called validate, and then I can continue on with logging in. And now, because I prove who I am, because I own my email address, I can now log into the PUC site through that MFA, and I can log into the portal and access everything that I'm supposed to have access to. Does that make sense for everybody? All right. So I actually scheduled some time this morning for Q&A. Anyone have other questions that we haven't covered yet, or general comment? So I scheduled 2 hours for this morning session, anticipating more questions or more clarifications. Since we sped through everything and we have about an hour and 15 minutes left, I would like to jump into the overview or the demo portion of this, this whole process. Anyone object to that, or shall we just move on? All right, we'll move on. So in this demo, what I'll do is I'll stop the PowerPoint and then actually just showing you what we'll see. But here is a list of a whole bunch of things, you know, that I'll just cover. So if you guys want to follow along with the PowerPoint that Kim sent out, or just have an idea, we're going to do some searches without logging in. We're going to look at organizations, activities, actions, events, public meetings, and then we're going to register accounts and then go do some more personalized profile, my pages, organization pages. So that's what we can expect. So with that, I'm gonna stop this screen right here. And here are a couple screens that you can see. On the left is my sandbox. It says this portal is for testing. So this is what we're going to be doing for portal purposes. And this is the page that you will be logging in or registering with the system to create your account for tomorrow. And then on the 22nd, what you'll have to do is log into the production environment where it says this is for UE 399 and UE 402. And starting from this portal, you're only going to be entering real data and not going to be testing and playing around and submitting different things for testing purposes or for getting familiarized with the portal. All right, so I'm going to shrink this, open this guy up. General overview of this page. If you could give me 1 second, I have a couple screens, scripts I'm going through. So on the very top, on the very right-hand side, you can see sign in. Because I'm not signed in, this just means I'm a general public. I am not doing anything right now. And I see Diane has her hand up. So Diane, go ahead.
Two things. Jing, we need to make a note to get that banner changed to UE 406, not UE 402. That was one thing. The other thing for everybody is I am working on language to put on the different screens. So as you're looking at this today, if there's particular language that you think would be helpful to have on the screen as far as directions or reminders or what this screen is, either throw it in the chat or let me know, let someone know, and we'll make note of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Yeah, from the looks of it, we do need to update this language right here, and we will do that. All right, so for the portal, when you're looking at the portal use, we're on the home page. And if I scroll down the home page, there are some glossaries that you can click on a link to. You can click on some links here that will take you to the same tab information we have up here. And then there's some description for each of the different topics. And like Diane said, if this doesn't make sense to you, let us know. If it makes sense, but you don't think it's in the right area, it may be less confusing if the order is changed, let us know. But in most cases, we're hoping the tabs are going to be what everyone is going to be referencing once you get used to the portal. So on the top right, this is where I sign in, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to pretend I am just a John Smith from the public, and I really have no clue what's going on. I just want to search for things. So the first thing I can do is I can click on the organizations, and I can see a list of all the organizations that is working with the PUC. And the first thing is I can look for anything electric. And then I will see everything electric related organizations instead of having to go through all the 4 different industries. And I can add a filter and say, I want to look at investor only electric. And then I'll be filtering it down to 2 companies. Or maybe I don't really care if it's electric or investor owned. I want to make sure I see all the active ones. And then of course, with active ones, there are some competitive provider. This is for telecom. I can change this filter and add more things to it. Or I can just say, you know what? I just want to look for anything that has Portland General in it. And from the looks of it, there are different Portland General companies out here. Some are active, some are not active, and some does not have a status. So if I was just a general public coming in, I'm looking for General Electric, I'll click on this organization name. And I can see here's the name of the organization. There's a regulation. I see an email address I can email my questions to. I can go to their website. If the organization administrator for PGE came in and updated the physical address, description, and then added some phone numbers and everything else, as a public, I can then get all the information from this page. And I can see all the activities that Portland General Electric has initiated with the PUC. And it looks like there are 4 on the page, over 275. So it's over 1,000 different PUC activities that I can go through and look up. And I can sort by date. I can sort by activity name. I can sort by number. So this is, in general, what I can see for an organization. And if I'm done with the organization, I'm like, okay, I guess I want to see what PUC activities the PUC has done. I can come over here to PUC activities. I can look at the date range and say, you know what, I want to see all the PUC activities since January 1st, 2021 through today. All right. I am not getting that information from the looks of it. I'm mistaken on this date range. But I can do a date range, apply the filter, and I can see all the PUC activities created within my date range. So from the looks of it, I have 4 months worth of activities here listed. I can do searches after I apply the date range or let it be. I can also look at the status, open, close, or on appeal. So once I apply open, I can see how many open PUC activities I still have from this date range, and from the looks of it, I don't have anything. So let me just try this again and actually make it more towards recent. In the last 6 weeks. So these were the dockets that were open within the last 6 weeks or 7. And if I click on one of these PUC activities, let me see if I can find a real one here. And because we're playing with test data, a lot of the data is coming from before the data migration, and we don't have a whole lot on the more recent filing. All right, let's just open one up. So the system is thinking and opening up this PUC activity. You can see the PUC activity number. You can see the organization that submitted the PUC activity. You can see the date this was filed. And you can see the name of the PUC activity, a description, status is open, and the PUC activity type. So we have a contested, hybrid, public meeting or hearing. And you can also see when the next scheduled public meeting date is. You can see the principal assigned, the ALJ assigned with their email addresses, any events happening with the PUC activity, any of the emailing list that is created. So service list is created automatically by the system. Staff list is created by the system. We'll have PUC staff names on here. Custom subscription list is where a registered public account can sign up to receive notifications anytime we have an update to this PUC activity. And then any order that was signed or issued for this PUC activity after a public meeting, and then any initial action that was ever done with this PUC activity. This is very similar to e-dockets. We still have the initial application, we have briefs, petition to intervene, signature pages, and rulings. So this is where we can see all the PUC activities and sort by them. Now, if I go back to the PUC activity screen, and instead of seeing all the PUC activities, maybe I just want to see UE PUC activities. I can just type in UE and it will give me a list of all the different UE dockets that was ever issued. If I was more specific and I want to do UE 200, I can narrow down to UE 200, click on the docket, and I can see all the detailed information for this docket. And it is permanently suspended. And I see a few different orders that was ever issued for this docket. And then under action, I can see this is a closed PUC activity. So as a company filer, I don't come back in here and try to file something into a closed PUC activity. And of course, all the activities ever happened for this docket is here. And if I sort by submission date, I can see there's a testimony. That's the very first action in this PUC activity, followed by the initial application, filing, other filing, pleading, and whatever other items that ever came in play for this docket. And it looks like there was a motion filed by Pacific Power for protective order. Any questions so far on organization or PUC activities? Is there a way to download all documents pertaining to a specific docket at once? So unfortunately, there isn't a good way of doing it. So what we have right now is for this docket, we have all the actions. We do not see discovery because I am not signed in. So there is no discovery related. I'm only seeing all the filings and all the non-confidential filings because I'm not logged in as anybody. I can see includes document. I can see the testimony has no document, but the initial utility filing has document. Unfortunately, I can't click a button and say, I want to download everything. I have to go to the details of the action. Go to the documents. I see non-confidential. I see there's one document in here. I'll have to click, click, click. And then once the system shows me the file, I can then click on the file, open it up. And by default, this is a Internet Explorer or Edge function. When I click on a file, it automatically downloads it for me. I can open it up and then I can save it. So unfortunately, at this moment in time, our system does not allow anyone using the portal to download all the attachments. Now, if this is an enhancement that will help the companies in working with the new system, we want to hear from you, and this could be an enhancement we work with our vendor to enhance in the next release. All right, so that's our organization, that's a docket. Actions. And from what I see in the feedback, it would be a good feature to download all the documents off a docket for both the actions and looks like discovery as well. So I will make a note and I will work with the PUC project team and look at future enhancement after we go live. Or if we can make this a feature before we go live, we will work with our vendor to apply this. But we will take the note. Let's see, there's a question from Marie. Is this set up now so we can practice? Whenever I try to apply filter in the search function, I'm getting 0 results. So let me just copy and paste this URL into chat real quick. And if you go to this web page has all the test data in here. Right now, you can't really log in because we haven't gone through the account registration and setup process yet. But if you just open up this page, looking at this banner right here, knowing you're in test page, you can play with the data as I'm talking. But please use the link I provided in chat. Let's see, PUC does this via download zip file to all documents. So point taken, we'll definitely work with our vendor, look for a way to download all files within a docket. What I'm thinking is maybe we can have a, if I'm looking at a PUC activity, and I am looking at UE 200, and I go to the detail of the PUC activity, I am thinking without obviously talking to our vendor or checking in with our project team yet, I may get a veto vote, but I'm thinking a button here says download all application or all documents. That could be a possibility, but I do need to confirm with the project team and also work with the vendor to create that feature. So we will make note and ask. And if you guys can give me one moment, I'm gonna make a note right now. All right. So Marie, if you're doing a search, see if you can do a search for an older PUC activity, because in the test environment, we migrated our data back in March. So if you're looking for anything that has been open for within the last 5 months, you probably will not see it. Now, when we go into the production pilot environment, after data migration is complete and you can actually do things, then we actually will have everything up to last week for all production data. All right. Next thing I want to just show you all actions. All actions, if we just open up this screen and looking at the list, I can see test exhibits, name changes, CPs, initial actions. There's a whole bunch of things in here. So one thing I can do is I can come in here and say, I just want to see all the UE 200 actions that was ever done within the PUC. There we go. And the only reason this UE199 showed up is because there is a description in here that referenced UE200. So once I have this information, if I wanted to, I can come up here and say, you know what? I just want to see all the orders as a group. So it could be an order, it could be a key order, it could be any other type of order that relates to my UE200. once I apply this order, I can apply my filter, and the system will eventually do a search and give me the complete search of all my orders. And because I have this date range that's sitting in here, I'm wondering if the date range is messing with my end result. Let me refresh this page and look for orders instead. So if I was looking for an order for UE200 and I put in this kind of search, this is what I see. And I will have a chat with our vendor about this date range. I believe we requested to have an open date range, but unfortunately this is not cleared up yet. So I will bring this to our vendor. All right. So this is actions. I can basically look for any action out there. If I get rid of this guy here and I can say, you know what, I want to see all orders. So I can go over to orders. I can actually look for order confidential or just standard order and apply my filter. And I should see all the orders ever filed for any PUC activity. And again, this date range. So I can see all the orders for different PUC activities. And if I want to, I can open up the PUC activity or go to view details and look at the order itself. And of course, the order is a document, so I actually have to click on the document to look at it. And because this is test data, I'm seeing there is no attachment to it, so I'm not going to be able to see or show you what the order looks like. But in production, you should be able to see this from whichever order this comes from. And let me make a note here just so I can confirm this with our vendor. Okay, events. Events are basically calendar items or things that the PUC has scheduled. And again, this is test data, so bear with me. These are the different type of events. We have staff workshops, brief stew, conferences, settlement conferences. These are all different types of events that's happening. So this is a list view of all events in the system. And then if I scroll down, I can see a calendar view of all the different events that's happening. And I can do a year view. I can do a monthly view. I can go back a couple months. Or if I want to, I can go forward a couple months to see what's coming up. And of course, I can also do a weekly view and just go back to today. And it looks like today there's no view here. If I go to the monthly view, I can click on one of these events, take a look at it. And of course, I cannot open this up, so I'll have to scroll back up for 8.8 event. I can go to the event, open it up, and see the detail of the event. And if we actually had had a Zoom meeting invite, the link would be under description. Or if it's a private Zoom meeting, you will receive an email for an invitation to register for the Zoom meeting or the Zoom meeting link itself. Any questions so far or comment? Oh, Jennifer, sorry, I did not see your hand. Go ahead.
I just raised it, so perfect timing. I just had a question. So it looks as if, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this something where we'll be able to see, is this just the docket views for any activities in the dockets, or will this also be merged like when we look at the calendar with public meetings and other events that are going on?
So this event view is all the events excluding public meetings.
Okay.
Because we hold public meetings and it's more formal. So we actually made a public meeting tab for it. And then everything else is shown up under events.
Okay, so these would be all of the events that, or I guess events or activities that are that's listed in the procedural schedule in each docket.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you for asking. Thomas.
First, very happy to have a bi-week view of deadlines and things. Currently, we have this just for like events, but being able to look up when things are due on a week-by-week basis, super helpful. My question is it possible that we could download CSV files of this so we can import them into our calendaring system on our end? That would save me a ton of time.
At this moment, because I do not see a download button, the answer will be no. You cannot just download all the events coming up in the future from this view. Let us take a look at our activities. So I can go to EA and EA docket, and there is a event that's happening with the docket itself, but it's not allowing me to download a list either. So if you find it beneficial for, is it per docket or would you rather have it per event?
I think it would be helpful on both ends. Like when we sign on to new dockets and there's like, 40 or 50 deadlines that are in that schedule, it's really helpful for me to have a CSV file that I can import into our Google calendars rather than having to manually recreate individual calendar events for each of those deadlines. And then being able to look it up on a bi-week basis and download from there is also helpful.
Okay. So we will, I will ask that question. Something that I haven't been able to show because I'm not signed in is we are able to download email lists. So we can have service list, staff list, and you can download that list with emails. And that is just a button. And basically what you see is what you download. So we can definitely request that and add a download button right about here that will download everything you see on this screen. So you could search by, let's say, date on here or by LC 79, and then you can see all the LC 79 related active events that's coming up or happened in the past, and you can download it. So as long as we have a button to download, then you should be able to do it from here and filter it by a specific docket. So we can make that request.
Awesome, thanks for your help.
Yep, and looks like there are a couple people already saying this is a good idea, so great. All right, so that's events. And of course, for public meetings, I'm gonna go to the archive public meetings first. Just like our public page right now, if you go to upcoming events or archived events, public meeting is a list of all the future regular public meetings and special public meetings. The archive public meeting are anything that has happened already. So just like what we had before, you have the name, the date, and the time of the public meeting. You can scroll down through all the public meetings, or this, because this is an archive public meeting, you will see all the archive public meeting. You can, let's see which one will have some information. I believe this one will have some information. You can either click on the caret pointing down, go to view details, or you can click on the link itself. Both of them will take you to the public meeting itself. You can look at, this is a regular public meeting. If it's special, it'll say special here, and the name will change as well. It'll be special public meeting instead of regular. Here's the date and time. We can see there's minutes attached and there's video attached. And you can look at the agenda for the public meeting. And of course, this is test data. You're not going to see anything. But if there were any consent agenda, just like our public meeting agenda item right now, you'll see CAs here, rulemakings, RAs here, or regular agenda RAs here. And each one of them will have a link pointing to the PUC activity or the docket. And then from the docket, you can actually look at the PUC staff reports or any presentation that's associated with a public meeting. And that's pretty much it for all the information. And of course, you know, your minutes and videos, there's going to be a file location here where you can click on a link and then you can open it up. And then you can download the minutes, download the video, and review them. So this is, in general, an archived regular public meeting, what you should be looking for within the system. And then for public meetings, very similar to what we have today, is you will have all future PUC public meetings listed here. Not all the public meetings will have an agenda because we don't publish an agenda until 2 weeks prior to the public meeting. So if, you know, this is real data, August 23rd is within the next 2 weeks, we should be publishing the agenda within here, and companies will get notification if they're subscribing to the public meeting email list, or if you're part of the service list for a docket that's going to appear on the public meeting. And when you click on it, it's going to follow the exact same format as the archive public meeting. Is you will have the details, and if there were anything attached, you'll see the attachments. But because it hasn't happened, we will not have minutes or attachments, but you will see agendas as long as the agenda has been approved by our chair. That's pretty much what you will see. And what I also want to point out is on the public web page, you will see this icon right here. This is if I'm just a general public and I want to make a comment to a particular public meeting because I opened up the public meeting. I want to comment on the public meeting itself, or I want to comment on a agenda item of this public meeting. I can use this new consumer comment icon. Then I have to create an account, register my email address, and then I can make a comment. There's another icon missing because I'm not logged in as a company user. I do not see that field right here, but if I did, there's another field right here where a company filer can file a public meeting action where you can make an official comment on an agenda item for this public meeting. I hope that makes sense. All right. So I did everything here without having to log in. So anyone in the general public can come into the PUC portal and do all this. If I click on consumer comments, any one of these screen will take me to register, because until I register, I cannot make a comment, because all the comments requires an email address to notify the person, hey, you made the comments, we received it, or to show a historical records of all the comments this person made. So we need someone to log in to make all the comments. And this is where people need to start registering, signing up, or signing into existing accounts. Okay, so with that, any questions, comments, concerns with just the public viewing the portal and seeing things or not able to see things? Perfect. Thank you for asking all the questions, so we don't have to wait until the very end. One thing I did forget to talk about is in the new ADS. Oh, I see someone. Marie, you have your hand up. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so when you use the search function, if you put like a keyword in there, does that just search like the docket titles, or does it search like the text of the documents as well? So like, say I wanted to find every docket that like had anything to do with like qualifying facilities, and I searched for qualifying facilities, would I find all of those dockets, or would it just be ones that like had that in the title? Great
question. So the way the new system works is, unfortunately, the portal side of things does not allow us to search within a document. So let's say we have a DR docket and there are attachments within the initial application where it says certain things. The system does not allow us to search the attachment itself. It only allows us to search the fields that we create, or the metadata of the record. So what we have created right now is, for any docket, we have activity name. So this is on the PUC side. The PUC needs to create a proper name for this docket when we are accepting your filing. And there's also a description field that we put in that allows us to add more information, not just the name, but other information to give us more detail about the docket. We also added a column or a field called tags. So because people can't search the document itself, what we're hoping to do is the company or the organization filing the docket to start with will put some tags in here that helps everybody to locate your document or your docket. So the terminology you used earlier, my apologies, I did not catch those or remember those. But what you can do is, when you're filing, you can put in as a tag, so that whenever people are searching, if I go search here and there's information in tag, this search actually searches all the columns. So if I typed in Aon Solar, and I just put Aon in here with asterisk in front of it, and I hit search, it'll give me anything with Aon in the organization, in the activity name, in the PUC activity, in the tags. So if you have those keywords in the tags when you're filing, then that tag will show up here. The PUC will most likely add similar word or language in the name. And then when the PUC is actually accepting your filing, if we're reading the attachment that you filed with the initial action or initial filing, we most likely will add a couple tags from the PUC side as well for this docket. So the searchability really is based on the name of the docket and the tags that everyone's working together to put in. So it's not as good as a document search for keywords, but this is the only thing we can do due to the limitation of technology. Now, on the PUC side, we can search the attachments. So if there is any time that the tag and the names don't produce the proper result and you're just second guessing what the portal is showing you, you're still welcome to call the filing center, and our power users can still offer that service like today. I mean, we can't really do a whole lot of attachment search anyways, but at least in the future, we do have tags, we do have names that you can search by, but even if you can't find your result there, we can still search on our end, try to bring you the proper list of all the dockets that you need. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Does that help?
I mean, I would like to have the opportunity, ability to search the documents too. But I guess if that's not something that can be done, I guess there's not anything we can do about it.
So again, this is a technical limitation, right? So the technology we picked is Dynamics and Power Portal. This is the portal you're seeing. The backend is Dynamics and SharePoint. That's how we're storing things. At this time, Microsoft doesn't give us a way to allow portal users to search the files attached. But maybe in the near future, that's a feature Microsoft will open up. Then obviously we'll jump onto that opportunity and open that feature up for, you know, all the portal users, company users, when they're looking for things, then we can do it. But yeah, we're hoping it will be there in the near future, but right now this is what we have. All right. Anything else so far? Jennifer, yes.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback on Marie's question, so say Pacific Core Files initiates a docket filing, we put a tag in there, the PUC puts a tag in there. Down the road, a stakeholder intervener or the public, they file their own document in that proceeding. Can they add a tag as well that would be searchable then? So is it like all of the individuals that file can add to the tags that can be searched upon in a docket?
So the answer to that is really, it's where the tag is, right? So the screen we're seeing is PUC activities. So all the tags are showing up here for the PUC activity. Let's say still using this AR, right? Let's say it's an AR docket. The initial filer will add a tag in here. Okay. And then PUC will add a tag in here for the PUC activity. So that's the extent of the PUC activity. Other companies or interveners filing actions into this docket, they have control over the tag of that action itself. They cannot modify this ES docket. ES docket already has these tags, right? It's by the initial filer and the PUC. So what's going to happen is for all the actions, we have tags as well. So with the action tag, the person filing this action can do more tags within the action. The PUC can do more to the tag within the action. So if I wanted to, I can do star 2022 as in searching for the keyword within tags. So if I was able to find all the actions that has the tag I want, I can then go to the PUC activity or the docket and open up the docket and see if there's other tags that I'm missing, or maybe there are other actions within the docket that I need to review.
Okay.
It's not perfect, it's a workaround, but again, this is what we have currently. And if we are able to use it, great. If we can't use it and we want some kind of enhancement, we will take the note and, you know, prioritize with whatever else that we need to enhance, and then hopefully something will show up.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to clarify that too, from my understanding, because sometimes we get into a proceeding and we're kind of going down one road, and then it can kind of morph or change slightly, which might incorporate some other scope. And so having some way to search off that additional, topic or scope was helpful. So it doesn't migrate everything up into that activities, but there is a way to search for stuff that might be tags that might be added later after the initial proceeding is set up.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Thank you.
And I see Diane has her hand up, so I'm going to yield to Diane to add more.
I just wanted to remind folks of two things. One is that what we're looking at right now is the general public view. As registered users of the system, after you sign in, you're able to see more. That's just my first thing. My second thing is with tags, it will be on a going forward basis because we don't have tags in our current system. So we most likely won't be able to go back and tag all those dockets. If PUC's business were to slow down, yep, that would be a great project, and it is on my radar, but I don't see it as a reality in the near future. That's all.
All right. And I see in chats, Annie's asking, is there accessibility feature for those who may need larger print and or audio readout? So the portal is what you see. What you see is what you get. Because it's built on dynamics and it's built with a portal in mind, I can zoom in. And unfortunately, once I zoom in, what you can and can't see are going to be questionable, as you can see on my screen. And because it's built on a web portal rather than a client, it is built with mobility in mind. So if I was on my cell phone and the real estate on my cell phone is a smaller print than my large screen, as you can see on my screen, the location of the fields changed. So I can actually scroll up and down using my phone to see what is on here. So as far as reading or audible readout, that's more on the Windows accessibility portion of things. If Windows is able to read all the text for me using the default Windows accessibility feature, then yes. But for default coming from the portal, we do not have that feature built into the portal itself. So I hope that answers the question about accessibility. All right, a couple things I did not mention right now that I made myself a note is with the organizations, we have PGE, Northwest Natural, and any other organizations who are providing the utility service. And then we have law firms and interveners and consultants who are, some are representing utility companies, some are representing interest parties or whoever else. So for most of the major companies, your company employee are part of your organization. So let's say I work for PGE, Diane works for PGE. Our organization will show up as PGE. And this is terminology we'll use. Our primary organization is PGE. So Diane and Ching both work for PGE, and PGE is Diane and Ching's primary organization. Dustin works for Dustin's law firm, and PGE is acquiring service from Dustin's law firm to represent PGE on a specific docket. So Dustin, his primary organization is Dustin's law firm. But he will also have a represented organization as PGE. So in the system, Dustin will have two organizations under his profile. One is his primary organization, Dustin's law firm. The second organization will be represented, and it's a represented PGE. And for docket UE 399, Dustin will be representing PGE, so he will be part of the service list representing PGE. And maybe he is also representing Northwest Natural in a different docket. So in that service list, Dustin will represent Northwest Natural in UG 200. And then, of course, for Dustin, his profile, he'll have one primary organization, which is his law firm. He will have multiple represented organizations depending on how many organizations he's representing. So that's the new idea within the system about organizations. So everybody will have a primary organization, and then they can represent 20 other organizations as they're working with different dockets. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, no hands up or questions, so good. All right, it is 11:38. I can show you guys how to create an account real quick, and then we can go for lunch and then come back and we'll talk about how to register that account with organizations, how we log in with multi-factor authentication, and then all the other new features you will see after I log in. Does that sound good to everybody? All right. So I am on the PUC public web portal. No one's logged in. And I am just Joe Public, and I'm gonna be like, okay, I wanna make a comment or I want to subscribe. So I don't think I showed you the button for subscribing, but if I was looking at a PUC activity, there should be a subscribing button for me so I can subscribe to all the new notifications coming in for this PUC activity. And because I'm not logged in, I can't. So I'm gonna create myself an account. So all I do is I click on sign in. I don't have an account, I'm gonna sign up. And I'm gonna put my new email address as in liuq75@outlook.com. And I'm just gonna click on send verification code. And pardon me while I log into my Outlook and get that email. There we go. I got a code. I'm going to type it in. And this is the same code that if we have multi-factor authentication set up, I'll receive a similar code every time I try to log in. I'll verify the code. And that says it's all good. And just because I have about 6 different accounts, I'm going to differentiate with a parenthesis and I'm going to create. So now I am logged into the web portal with my email address, and it has to be a unique email address, and it's required. And I'll just put my work phone number here. I'm confirming my first and last name are good. And here are all the optional fields that I could use. right? So I could put my physical address in here. I could put a fax or my personal homepage, or maybe I work for the PUC. I'll just put the PUC webpage in here. I can put a different alias if I'm known as someone else. And if I have a job title or a prefix or anything I want people to know about me, I can put into my contact notes. And I can scroll down and I see all these option out items. My suggestion for everyone is do not opt out anything right now until you start getting too many emails when you're subscribing to different emails or different service lists for different dockets. Because when you opt out reminders or reviews or action required, any information that's sent to you as a informational, if you opt out those, you will not receive any notifications for any new activities coming in or any new actions created for a docket. So don't opt out anything until you start to receive too many things and you know exactly what's causing it, and then maybe come into your profile and start removing things. So I'll click on update, and this is my profile. So that's how you can create a profile. And because I signed in, now I can actually subscribe to a PUC activity. And as soon as I click on it, the custom subscription email list will have my name on it. And anytime AR661 has a new action, a new event, a new anything happening to it, I will receive an email notification, tells me I can come back into this docket and look at the events and everything else. So this is, in general, a registered public. So I can look at my profile, make changes to it. I can look at all the comments I've made in history. I can actually now go into the consumer comments and actually make a comment. And I can look at the email list I belong to. I can remove myself from the lists or the service list I belong to. In general, a registered public will not have a service list unless they're actually participating in a docket. The subscription list, if I subscribe to different dockets, I can remove myself, or I can go back to the docket and add myself to the docket itself. And access requests, this is where I can request, to be an administrator for a company. I can register as a filer, discover, or read-only subscriber to a company. And of course, a company administrator will have to approve most of my requests. And this is where I can see a list of all my requests. Okay, with that, I just registered myself. And if I'm looking at the email list, these are all the email lists that's available in the system. I can download this whole list so I can see which one I want to subscribe to. But this is subscription list. And this service list is, I can see all the different service lists that's out there for all the different dockets. I can download this list, review it, and say, okay, I'm interested in BP 14. I want to participate, and I just need to go to that docket and start the petition to intervene if it's a contested or hybrid case, and do something else if it's a different type of docket. And since we have a few more minutes, I'm going to sign out, and I'm going to sign in, or not sign in, but show you guys something on the sign-in page. So because we're working with existing data, your contact information is already in the portal, or most likely is in the portal, along with your email addresses. So unless you have changed your email address since you have been added to service list for UE 399 or UG or UE 406, your account is already in here, your email address is already in here. So if you use your email address and try to log in right now, and the system comes back and tells you, hey, your account already exists. If that happens, what I would suggest is go to forgot your password. And then when you do forgot your password, you type in your email address. And then you send the verification code, put in the verification code, and just change your password. Once you change your password, you should be able to come back and log in as yourself. So again, the step is click on sign in, use your email address. Don't even use your email address, just click on forgot your password, then use your email address and try to reset your password. If this does not work, then come back to sign up now. If I do sign up now in the reverse order and I say, although the code verification will work, the system will come back and say user with this ID already exists. So your email address is your ID. You're welcome to try to create an account, go through the process with your current email address. If you see this error, then go back and try to reset your password by clicking on the forgot password, typing the email address, send the code, go through the steps. You can do either first, when you're trying to register your email address for the test environment, these are going to be the things that could happen, and these are the solutions that I would suggest you try. And obviously, if it doesn't work, feel free to email Diane or I, and we'll figure out what's going on and get that fixed on the back end. And I'll put my email address in here just so you have my contact information. All right, we have about 10 minutes left. I'm going to leave some time for us to ask questions or give me any kind of comment, feedback, and then we'll go lunch and come back in the PM. So the e-filing system, I'm not sure which one you're referencing. So let me just open up the PUC webpage here real quick. So on the PUC webpage, we do have e-dockets. And when you click on e-dockets, there is no credential. You're not required to sign in. You can just open up and review. When you are trying to file to the PUC today, there's an email address. I believe it's puc.filing@puc.oregon.gov. That's how you file with the PUC using an email address. We also have Huddle, where you have a Huddle login. This is more for discovery. So Huddle is its own separate system. You will have your own login name and password. That's separate. If you try to sign up or reset your password by going into this portal, this test portal, it will have a separate password. It's a brand new password. It has nothing to do with Huddle, so it will not impact your existing password for Huddle. I hope that makes sense for everybody on the call. Perfect. All right, so before we wrap up for lunch, instead of me asking this in the PM, I just want to bring this up so you guys can think about it before the PM session, and then you can give me an answer, is that because we have a role for company administrator, we have a role for company filer, company discoverer, and company subscribers. If you guys can start thinking about who your company administrator is, so that we can make sure they're actually registered in this environment before tomorrow morning. And then who are the filers, discoverer, and subscribers, so they can register and make sure they can log into the portal before tomorrow morning. That will save us time tomorrow morning. But we do have 2 hours per session for tomorrow morning to make sure everybody can log in, can get their access requests and everything figured out. So we probably will have more than enough time. But if you guys can start thinking about the roles you are playing for your company, or figure out who is, and make sure everybody tries to register using the test environment today, that will be very helpful for us to go through our process tomorrow. Okay, so with that, in the PM, I'm going to log in. I'm going to show everybody how multi-factor authentication will work. And then I'm going to show you a whole bunch of other features only showing up if I belong to an organization. Last 7 minutes. Oh, there's one more question. Is there a limit to the number of administrators? It's likely a larger organization may want 2 or 3. So there is no limitation on how many administrators. And of course, keep in mind, administrators doesn't have to file, does not have to do discover. But if you want to have administrator to do everything, you actually have to request for all these different roles. And the PUC only manages or approves administrative access to a organization. For filers, discoverers, it's really up to the organization administrator to approve those. So if your organization requires 6 administrators, feel free to make that request, but just make sure you're communicating with each other so you don't, I guess, approve someone and then someone else remove them.
Excuse me, I want to add in here, but I am encouraging every organization in the system to have at least 2 administrators, because then you're covered if someone goes on vacation or is out of the office. Otherwise, suddenly you don't want to be in a position where you have no admin.
So what I'm gonna do this afternoon, great comment, Diane, is I'm gonna talk through a couple things the organization admin should be doing and what's the benefit of having more than one. Not that PUC can't support your organization, but if you have more than one, then if someone leaves suddenly, if someone's on vacation, sick leave, or whatever happens, you can manage your own thing without having to call PUC, and then we have to, do other things and delay your need, right? So I'll mention something for the PM, and we'll go from there. All right, with that, we got 4 minutes. I don't want to use up all the time. Any more questions, comments, suggestions from the group? All right, I don't see any hands or no one's unmuting themselves. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time this morning. We will start at 1 p.m. and we will talk about the rest of the details and admin features and whatever else you guys want to see.